thanking you for taking the time out to do this interview. And I want to tell you that any questions that you don't feel comfortable answering, that you don't have to answer, tell us about yourself. What you love to do, things like that.
Well, I'm an historic preservationist. I'm a landmarks commissioner, and I'm a professional singer. I'm a singer like preserving our social history, the character of our homes, and I love singing. Been singing since I was about 4 years old on radio. You know, and I love art. I love all kinds of things.
What neighborhood do you live in?
I live in the Glenview National Historic District, which is in Midtown Memphis. Well, I used to sing on a broadcast at East Street Baptist Church, where Dr. W. Herbert Brewster is, where he was. He was a theologian, songwriter, playwright, write speeches for professors all over the world. But he used to have a broadcast come on radio at 10 o'clock at night. And Quincy Anderson, the gospel singer, James Cleveland, everybody came to his church to get new songs to perform. But Elvis Presley used to come and sit on the floor at the front of the church while the church service was going on. And that's one of the things I can remember. And I remember going to school. I used to love to go to school because I had to get away from my dad. It was the only place I had an outlet was to go to school. And school was like something that was wonderful to me because we couldn't go any place but the church. School and work was the most important thing during those times. And people played games all out in their yards. They made up the games. They didn't have computers. A lot of people didn't have TVs. And when you got TVs, that was a big deal. You got to watch it on Saturdays. And now you have computers and all the stuff that's taking everything away from you. You had to do things yourself, you know. Actually, I married at 16 and I moved to Walker Home, which is not far from here. I lived on King Road. And to me, that was a country. Because they had cesspools in the yard. They didn't have running, the sewage hadn't come out. The sewer line hadn't come out to that area then. I talk to my master every day. Before I go to bed every night, I think of all of the wonderful things I wanted to happen. I say, it's already happened. And when I go to sleep, I can rest. But you have to have a belief system within yourself in order for that to work. Reverend Netta's has a wonderful church out there, all kinds of programming. Anything that you need, you can go to that church and get it. I mean, you can't just walk and get it, but he can tell you where to find it, or somebody there will tell you. They would direct you with programs and things that's actually needed in it. You had all kinds of entrepreneurs. You had black hospitals and black clinics. You have black nursing schools right in the area where Lemoyne College is. That's South Memphis, okay? And I lived in Glenview, which was east of that. That's considered South Memphis when they want to do certain things in the city with the planning. But the schools were good when we were in school. The black people learned more until they started doing busing. When they started busing, that changed our communities. Whereas they say a village is where the child is taken care of in a village. Well, at one time it was really like a village environment. The neighbors can tell you not to do this, the neighbor can tell you to do this, and it was perfectly fine. You were safe in your neighborhood. But now it's just the opposite, you know. You know, where you live now, everybody's so far apart. Your mother live here and your aunt live over there, and you're way across town, and the grocery stores in your neighborhood is not good because they bring the second foods to you and whatever. You have to go to another neighborhood to get good, fresh foods. So we have the opportunity to go to those places and do them. It'd be nice if we had it in our own neighborhoods. We had stores and things like we used to have. It won't be like it used to be, but we had black owners that owned grocery stores. We could go and charge our food. We could go and charge our cleaning. We could do everything, and we all didn't know that we were rich. We were poor. We were poor and didn't know it because we had everything we needed in our neighborhood. You could walk to where you needed to go. Just like down on the riverfront, that's a neighborhood where they can get out and walk to the grocery store. They can go anywhere they want right there from the river. They can walk, and that's the environment what we used to have. So it would be nice if it could be like that now. This area is one that's a strong, this area here where we are right now, Chuckalisa, this is in Southwest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a very strong thing, and it's so strong because of the history of the organization and the people that live here, how they live, and how important it is to get the information out to the world about how they lived and what they're doing now. Well, what I would change is I would make sure that Fuller Park and the golf course is preserved and it's really built up like other parks and golf courses are, where people can come from all over the world and play, because it was used like that at one time. I used to go to Fuller Park when I was a kid. And the Walker Home is an area that was formed when African Americans were being moved out of North Memphis to Midtown. And they were building houses in the suburbs. And they had to have somebody to move to the suburbs, so they had to blockbuster people out of the area where I lived and to move into those new houses, so the people from where I raised in North Memphis, they moved to that area. And that means that it gave us better places to live, you know, than what we were in already. There were nicer houses, and of course we came in growing up today, but it was different from where we were raised. Things have changed so much. We've lost so much in the neighborhoods, they go down. People don't keep up the properties. They trash the areas. When I was growing up, if you didn't clean up where you lived, code enforcement would come out and condemn your house after the third call. They would actually condemn your house. So people didn't want to lose their houses, so they got straight. You couldn't keep all washing machines and cars and stuff around your property. That's why Memphis was known as City Beautiful, the most beautiful city. I help a lot of people with resources from all around Memphis. People call me for information like you were talking about in your meeting about starting an organization. Anything they want to know, they'll call me now, Earlice, where do I find so-and-so? So people I don't know, they call me from all out of states and everywhere because I'm a researcher. And that's something that I like to do. So I provide people with information. If I don't know it already, I will find out.
What do you think makes you a leader in your community?
I think it's the way, it's my personality, number one. And I think it's the way that I can approach people to get people to do anything I want, and people see that. I can approach a person no matter what kind of person they are and still get what I'm coming after. Might not get it right then, but eventually I'm going to get it. But it's just a way that you approach people and how you speak. Your body language means a lot. I can do anything I want to do, and I've been thinking that all my life, and I've never been able to not accomplish what I want in my life. So people recognize that. Barbara Cooper,
Who is?
she is your state representative, right? Reverend Netters is an icon. You got a young lady here that's over the Fuller Park. Sydney Chisholm. Sydney Chisholm is, what do you call it? When he was over union. He was a union man. He was fighting for all the civil rights stuff. Sydney Chisholm. One thing is I can see that the park would be utilized more. This area would be utilized more, and it brings in the economy where people, they can make money, and where they get things they buy stuff from. It's like the money that's being made is turning around in the city where you come from instead of coming from outside. the children and the adults would learn more about where it's their own neighborhoods, and you would buy into wanting to come back and take care of it. And there'll probably be more businesses out this way instead of having to go over in Mississippi. You could be developments in the area, within the area. Tennessee Cultural Heritage Preservation Society was formed out of a need to identify, protect, and preserve the African American history and culture and architecture and the conservation of the communities and the social history. I saw there was a need for it after being a volunteer with another nonprofit organization here in Memphis, and they did not focus on African American history. So I saw a need for that, and I started traveling in other places to see how it was done, and I came back. I wanted to join one in Charleston, South Carolina, and get an organization. But I couldn't join because I was not a member of one in Tennessee. So that made me come back to start one in Tennessee. We started statewide, and then we went to the national.
That is the end of the interview, and I did thank you for answering all the questions. It was very interesting.
And thank you for having me.
Thank you.